Morning, welcome to the video. So it's Monday the 6th of March, believe it or not. I don't know where the year's gone so far. So traditionally, third week of March, that's when I'm writing down in the diary as to when I'm going to start certain, certain points of the year and things like that. Third week of March is always when I'd look to start the springtime lawn care. That always came about because at the golf club, which I used to work at, you would have to, get in the diary so the members knew a week for, springtime course maintenance and obviously autumn time course maintenance. So they would need to be in the diaries before the diaries were printed. We always had second week, so that was kind of like all hands to the deck. So then I would then take the third week off and start my scarifying and all those sort of jobs. And in the early days, I could take a week off and get all my jobs done. That's obviously not the way anymore. Now, having watched the weather yesterday, it looks as though we're due for snow, sleet, rain. Don't know if you watched Countryfile weather, but basically he said, right, Thursday it could look like this, or it could look like this. Two totally different, but ultimately it's going to be cold. So this week I've just got some final kind of like winter tidy ups jobs, a bit like that really. I've got a new client today, so this will be a regular mowing client and lawn care, but she's also asked if I can do a bit of hedging. Hedging jobs aren't crazy, so it's not massive, so I've said yes, I can do that. Also, by doing that, the front lawn is in an awful state, so by actually just clipping the hedge, that's going to just let a little bit more light and air in. So I've suggested we get on with that sooner rather than later. So today, start off, do the hedges, going to cut the grass and then treat the lawn for moss, and then yeah, that will pretty much be today's job. I need to pop into Rigby Taylor, get some just get some more supplies ultimately. Okay, so just loading the van up. It's a small lawn, so I'm going to be using the Ego mower. Now, I don't know where I'm going to be using this mower too much this season. The beauty of it is its lightness, and as you've seen on the reviews I've done on it, the lawn in particular that I used it for was a lawn where I had to carry the mower down steps. Now, as a lot of you know, I'm relocating to the area where I live, as opposed to the area where I used to live when I started the business, and that is one of the lawns that I've let go this year. So I won't have the steps to deal with, so maybe that it will be used for this small lawn, and I've got some other lawns which are smallish, which I just don't want to use a roller mower on because they're a bit rough around the edges. So yeah, be interesting to see whether this works, but I love the concept of just having a battery mower around for just grabbing it and going. So yeah, that's good. What you'll see here is the KMA 135R. Now, as you know, on the review I wasn't so keen on the Ego battery strimmer for two reasons. One, because it's the cord went the other way, but secondly, because this, at the time of purchasing this, was my favourite strimmer head of all the strimmer heads, and the reason being the one, because that's so flat, you don't get kind of that effect, so it's nice and flat as you get an even cut. Secondly, the height of the string to the bottom, and obviously that wears down, is much lower than some others. So one of the other problems I found with the Ego strimmer was that actually, as I was strimming around the areas the mower couldn't fit into, I was actually strimming at a higher height than I was actually mowing. So what you'd have to do is tilt the string in, which can be a little bit choppy sometimes, so I didn't like that. However, doing my research, what I realized is this is compatible with all the petrol combi units. So by just buying that one unit, I now have long-handled hedge trimmer, light's gone out, long-handled chainsaw, the meter carbon extension pole, a strimmer, what else have we got? there's a blower in there. I've got the brush wherever the brush is. So all of a sudden, by having that one combi unit, I now had, you know, half a dozen battery powered pieces of equipment. So for me, that was an obvious choice. And because I bought that, I obviously got the blower as well, which is, it's very basic. It's actually quite a lot of power for what it does. I would say the Ego that I demoed, this is as powerful when the Ego was on turbo, but obviously rather than 9 minutes, you'll get 25 minutes. But it is a bit of a pain. There isn't the it's very literally, you flick forwards and you lift up and that's it, and you have to hold this. On the Ego you had the you know, you could lock it off, so you didn't have to hold the trigger the whole time. So comfort wise the Ego was a lot better, but actually power to time, this is, you know, I'm not suggesting they're exactly the same, but actually this gave me a little bit more power. So yeah, that's what I've seemed to opt for. And what I've found is 2 300s in the blower and 2 200s in the strimmer will probably give me just enough power to get through the day. Obviously I'm just talking fine edging and stuff like that, not major strimming. So I think I'd need another battery so I don't get range anxiety. But I have a few clients who are more than willing to let me charge the batteries at their property. So if I'm able to do that, then I should be fine. But one more battery I think would just relax me a little bit more and help me get through the day without really having to think about what I'm doing. And that's the thing I've come to think is I sort of love this idea of having all one brand of battery, but as I look around, I just don't think, for my requirements and what I need, that just doesn't happen yet. You know, obviously the haters are my main mowers. There's a brand new hater there, but the Toro battery power stuff for me just it isn't there. Very heavy, very clunky, not particularly much power. The Ego stuff's good. Now the battery power stuff, you know, like their handheld battery is the top of the range one's a lot more powerful than that. They would argue that I think they've got the BGA 100, 200, but I think you need a backpack for that. I don't want to wear a backpack for just blowing around the edges. So for me, it's between Stihl and Ego. Now, I would always take this strimmer here over the Ego strimmer, but if you saw my last video, they now have the Line IQ, which means it can cut lower. So that's a big sort of tick in their box. You know, if they can spin it the other way, I've got no issues and no reasons to not use that then. And then maybe actually the mower and the Ego strimmer would be the way to go, plus with the handheld blower. You know, and then just reserve this for the hedge cutting and chainsaw work and stuff like that. Who knows? Plenty of options out there. So anyway, I've got my so I've got the old Time Master, brand new Time Master, old 56, brand new 56. Now what I normally do is I normally service the mowers during the winter, sharpen the blade, put the blade on, do 2 cuts on each lawn. Once I've done 2 cuts on each lawn, so all the twigs and debris from the winter's been picked up, I would then put a brand new blade on. So what I've decided to do this year is I haven't serviced these mowers yet. I'm just going to use them for the final 2 cuts, then I'm going to go straight onto the new machinery. As soon as I go onto the new machinery, I'm then going to service these, sharpen the blades, and they will become my backup pieces of equipment. Or if there's 2 of us out mowing, then we can split a lawn in half. So that's the theory behind that. It's important that I do service them and sharpen the blades and get them up and running, so that, you know, during the season, if I do come into an issue, I can just switch straight over to it and it's good to go. Yeah, so that's it. I think what I'll do is I'll check in with you once I get to the job, show you what needs to be done, and then show you once it's done, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so we're here, so this is the hedge. It's not massive. It's enough just to tidy it up. And then obviously there's the driveway that needs doing, and this is the lawn. So hopefully by doing something with the hedge, it will just create a little bit more room, space, air, light, all the good stuff. Okay, so this is the back garden. Just needed a bit of hacking down over there, so we've done that. That's what the client wanted, so fair enough. And this is the back garden, so I'm just going to give this a quick tidy up cut, and then the tidy up cut on the front as well. Okay, so the lawn is cut. This is on the Ego, with the Ego mower obviously on its lowest setting. So we shall be coming back in a couple of weeks to scarify and overseed these bare areas as well as the front. So yeah, so that's all tidied up. That hedge kind of down to the line that the client wanted. And this is the front, so cleaned out those leaves from the bed. Haven't done the driveway yet, need to spray and there's the hedge. It's the hedge, massive, a hole in there, so I guess there's access to the lights. There's not a great deal we can do about that. It's enough, just, but yeah. So we've got to treat with iron and do the driveway, treat the driveway as well. So again, this is getting absolutely mullered, this one, and it'll be completely overseeded, top dressed, etc, etc. So yeah, I've cut it a little bit short in the middle. You can see where it's a sort of different colour, but that's no problem because it's all getting ripped out. Okay, so we're back at the container. I started that job I got there, so key time was 9:45 to 1:30. So that was to cut the hedge at the front, cut that crappy bit at the back, cut front and back lawns, obviously edge, things like that, and then spray with iron. So yeah, all done by 1:30, and that included a half an hour call with Sam J. Rocky. So actually you could say I finished, if I hadn't have stopped to put my feet up and the chat, it could have been 1 o'clock finish. But now I'm back up at the container, and what I'm doing is I've slowly worked through oil changes and things like that. I've got the two scarifiers, the Cameron and the Elite. I did the aerator last week, and then just basically get the van ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow is an iron treatment, and this so basically there's an area where I do a lot of houses all in one. One client was away on a cruise, so I wasn't able to get in. So that fell onto, well, tomorrow. So I'm going to go there, do an iron treatment, and then I'm going to a mowing client, but there'll probably be autumn leaves and everything else kicking around. So that's quite a large garden. So it will be the first cut at her lawn anyway. So I'll be taking the older Time Master, and hopefully see their next door neighbour, which I've quoted for. So I'm waiting to hear back on that, so if I see them I can just have a chat. Obviously it's a large lawn, so it was a largish price, so I wonder whether they were expecting something like that, so we shall see. Anyways, yep, so this is it, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the rest of the day yet. Got lots of paperwork I need to get on with, so I might do that. Problem is I know everyone's at home, so the minute I go home, it's going to be very difficult to do paperwork. So I might just sit in the van and try and do what I can do on my phone, which isn't ideal, but it's kind of the world in which we live in, isn't it?